Well, it's time now for today's message, and what a joy it is to welcome Reverend Dr. Sylvia. Welcome along, Sylvia. It's been a while. So would you give her a big welcome? Thank you.
Can you hear me now? Good. Well, today I'm talking about understanding. So let us look at Proverbs, which tells us, trust in the Lord with all thine heart, and lean not unto thine own understanding. In all thy ways acknowledge him, and he shall direct thy paths. And when we look at Psalm 119, we see, give me understanding, and I shall live. You know, we can go through life using only our intellectual understanding, but this is like going through life with one arm tied behind your back, because human understanding is very limited. But when we claim our spiritual understanding, then we open our mind to God's promptings, and we are directed to better outcomes in every area of our lives. We can go through life using just our intellectual understanding, but this is like going through life with one arm tied behind your back, because our human understanding is very, very limited. When we claim our spiritual understanding, we open our mind to God's promptings, and we are directed to better outcomes in every area of our lives. Charles Fillmore tells us in his book, Christian Healing, which is a wonderful book, by the way, claim your Christ understanding at all times and declare, I'm not under any spell of human ignorance. I am one with infinite understanding. And he goes on to say, the will must be strengthened by being constantly used in divine understanding. Spiritual understanding quickens and makes alive. So claim your Christ understanding at all times. You know, in Proverbs, we're warned to not lean on our own understanding, but to acknowledge the power of God in all our doings, and to be truly alive, and to give us, and that will give us true interior awareness. Charles Fillmore in the 12 Powers tells us that these two kinds of understanding, the understanding of the intellect, and then as our consciousness expands and becomes more enlightened, we move into the second phase of understanding, which is spiritual discernment. This moves us into an intuitive knowing of the living spirit within us. Then our character is refined and strengthened, and we live truly, knowing the truth of our own spiritual being. He tells us that understanding, knowledge, intelligence, and wisdom are so closely related that it is difficult to define one without the others. In fact, we can't reach the wisdom stage without first growing into an awareness of knowledge, intelligence, and understanding. He goes on to explain that when we focus our meditation upon the understanding center, which is located in the front brain, we stimulate the ability of the mind to apprehend new ideas of the laws of life and thought. And this uplifts us into spiritual discernment, which gives us more and more insight into the truth of our divine creator as we enter more deeply into our prayer life. You know, living our lives in prayer and meditation opens up our consciousness and enables us to attract all avenues of knowledge from this vast web of life that makes up every atom of the universe. And do you really want to know what is best for you? Well, take it to your divine creator in prayer, and the answer will be given. We will then be spirit-led into making the right decisions in all our situations. You know, we start off reading, questioning, and searching until our intellect, our human intellect, is satisfied. But after a while, we find that this is not enough. We long for something deeper. We feel the inner urge of the soul to get back to its source, a spiritual hunger that just will not go away. This is when our prayer and meditations lead us into deeper understanding, a deeper atmosphere of pure knowing, where we perceive the truth of being, which transcends all the outer evidence of the senses. This is an inner knowing, which nourishes us spiritually and fills us with divine confidence. We know the truth, and nothing in the outer world can ever take that truth from us. It is as Jesus said, "Ye shall know the truth, and the truth shall make you free." We move our attention from the outer world to our inner world. Knowing the truth sets us free of all ignorance and misunderstanding, and it gives us the confidence to live in this world in God-ordained loving kindness. Psalm 119 tells us, "Give me understanding that I may observe the law." When we observe spiritual law at all times, we build ourselves a kind and loving world, which will nurture us and lead us into the right outcome for every situation. It's sad that traditional churches base their teachings on original sin. How much better it would have been had they taught original divinity. Then everyone would have been aware of their own divine nature, and the world would have become a much happier place. Emily Cady writes in Lessons in Truth, "Spiritual understanding is a spiritual birth, a revelation of God within the human soul." And she goes on to say that we may have an intellectual perception of the truth, but until we have an internal shift in consciousness and we apprehend the power of God working within us and follow God's guidance, then the purely intellectual understanding is of no benefit to us or to anybody else. Winifred Wilkinson Houseman, in her book, Your God-Given Potential, tells us that when we have true understanding, we build something to stand on, for feet are, in the metaphysical sense, symbolic of understanding. And she writes, "When you are meditating, take your attention away from the nerve center in the brain and let it drop to your feet and say, 'My feet are placed on the firm rock of understanding.' And when your understanding is developed in both head and feet, not only will you have the light in mind, but you will have the ability to apply it in your world." And she goes on to say that understanding is perfected in love. And without love, it cannot be completely awakened in a spiritual way. Understanding as well as wisdom must work with love, or it will be cold and unfeeling. But an understanding heart provides the insight that enables one to continually provide the right answers, just as King Solomon did. And we all know that King Solomon was known for his wisdom and his understanding heart. So keep on with your prayer life and with your meditations, and you too will grow an understanding heart. Thank you.
Thank you, Sylvia.
Good.
Words of wisdom, my goodness. And we're supposed to be sharing this, but I think you've just about said it all.